If you were starting Raid Shadow Legends in 2025, speeding through the beginning of the game is incredibly important, so here are my top 10 tips that you need to know to give yourself the best start. And we actually start with tip number 1 off of the very first thing you can ever do in this game, which is pick your first champion. Believe it or not, there's one that is by far above the rest. And trust me, as simple as it might seem, you have to pick Kayle. It's not going to be the biggest impact on your account. You do not pick him, but please just trust me when I say that he is by far the best option. Early on, Kayle is such a hard carry, and while the other units are pretty good, there's just a few things that set him apart. First of all, his A2 is quite good, where you get an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit, which is amazing when you do not have gear to get to 100% crit rate very easily. He also fills the turn meter of the champion by 25% for each enemy killed. Really, really good for mobbing. But the thing that truly sets him apart is his A3 and his A1, which both put on poison. Poison in early game is so valuable. It's great for clan boss, it's great for dragon, it's great for bossing. It's one of the better abilities, and especially out of the starter 4, so good. At the end of the day, you're not going to brick your account by picking anyone else, but I highly, highly, highly recommend starting with Kayle. Tip 2 is quite important, but a little bit time-based. If you want to get one of the stronger starts in Raid, you want to look for content creator links. And the links that I'm talking about is every couple months, there will be a certain events where if you start a new account using a link, specifically, you can start with some really good heroes. This one specifically that I'm using as an example gives you Elenarl. I can't pronounce her name very well, but it gives you a free legendary as well as 3 incredibly powerful epics later down the line. I highly, highly, highly recommend looking for these. And as an extension of the same tip, if you go to promo codes, every single day you can put in a promo code with a little bit of a cooldown. But when you start a new account and you are less than level 15 and have made the account within the day, so within 24 hours, you can put in one of these special promo codes. The one I recommend you guys to use is Supreme6. This will give you a free Void, which is the rarer kind of affinity or whatever. It'll give you a free Supreme Gaelic, which is amazing because this guy is going to carry you so much through early game and you're going to thank me later. Really, really, really powerful units. You always want to be keeping these in mind. Now, just quickly, the best way to find these is you go to the Hell Hades website. It's the best place to get your information on Raid Shadow Legends. You can go over here to promo codes, scroll all the way down, and then click new player promo codes. There's obviously other promo codes that you can actually use, but these ones you can only use one. And the one I recommend, of course, is Supreme6, which is for Supreme Gaelic. This one is amazing, but there are also some other really good ones in here. But I do recommend trying to take a legendary. Just look through if you want to pick another one, but go with Supreme Gaelic and pick me later. The next few tips are all going to be somewhat loosely connected, and we're going to start with push campaign as much as you can. I know it seems kind of obvious, but not a lot of people do it. Campaign is so important early on because it's your main source of gems, and beyond that, you also get some shards and blah, 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 blah. The most important thing is you actually get more XP the further you go. So early game, it's very important to push your campaign as far as you possibly can in order to get your heroes up later on. Really, really, really important. Getting your first maxed hero is the complete first goal of your first week. That's what you want to try to aim. On a kind of similar vein, push your storyline as well. If you're ever feeling a little trapped or you don't really know what to focus on next, just go to storyline and it'll basically tell you. Now, there are a couple of storyline missions that are kind of annoying. I don't really like them at all. Like, there's one where you have to get like attack percent main gear from certain places. Miserable, right? But these give you really solid rewards. Mainly, the thing you want to try to aim for is the gems right here. If you can somehow grind the game fast enough to get these gems really early, or even if you don't grind the game, you will get them pretty early. So this is the next tip. Push storyline as much as you can. The next tip is use your gems wisely. Now, there are 2 avenues that you can go with your gem usage. As you can see, I'm not quite at the amount of gems that you'll need for the things that I'm going to show you. but you will get this pretty fast, and you'll get about 1,500 gems on your first week if you're playing pretty often. There are 2 things you can do. Number 1 is unlock the gem mine. The gem mine is what I would recommend for people who are not planning on grinding the game or pushing things as fast and as far as they can, because this will give you passive gem income. And obviously, getting an avenue to get gems consistently and often is really, really important. You can upgrade this 3 times for a total of 1,500 gems. It's really, really good. But if you're like me and you're planning on grinding the game out pretty fast and pretty far, I recommend you get Mastery. You're your main damage dealer. Generally, this will be Kale, as you can see here. And what you can do is you can get all scrolls, and it will be about 800 gems. This you can get in the first couple days of playing, and this will help you so much in so many areas. Clan boss, arena, campaign, dungeons. Kale is going to be your definitive best unit for a while. Early on, very easy to skill him and it's very easy to use him. So I would get the mastery scrolls personally, but it depends on your playstyle, whether or not you're planning on committing a lot of time and effort, or if you're just going to take a bit more of a leisurely approach. Those are the 2 things you need to focus on. I would not spend gems on much else before then. Using gems on something like the big shard pack here is kind of a waste. I would stay away from that sort of thing as much as possible early on. Now that we've talked about progression a little bit, we need to talk about leveling. The most important thing to focus on the first week or month, however long that you're playing until you reach this milestone, you want to focus on 1 DPS. For your first 60. This game has a maximum level of 60. The way you do it is you level them progressively with either beating stages, using these potion things or whatever to get XP. And then once you reach a certain point, you're able to upgrade rank by using other things that are the same star. So here it's asking for 4 stars because my Kale is 4-star. Once I get those, I'm going to put them into him, get myself to 5-star. What you want to do is you want to select 1 hero, which I recommend to be your starter hero. If you picked up Supreme Gaelic, you can pick him too, but I do recommend having someone really good at mobbing and pretty good at clan boss, is my personal opinion. You want to just straight focus getting him up. When you feel like you've reached standstill in progression, or even while you're going through progression, you want to focus 1 hero. And the good thing about Kale, which this isn't really a tip, this is kind of an extension. The good thing about him is since he's a rare, you're actually able to skill him up super easily early game. As you can see, I have 4 books right here. You got to be very careful with your book. But with rare books, you can kind of use them however you want, as long as you're using the hero, because they're pretty easy to get, especially early on. You want to aim for these cooldown things. Basically just focus Kale, or focus whoever you've decided you want to have as your main DPS. In this game, you gain XP by beating stages, so you want 1 person leveled high so that you can put them on a team with 3 food champions, and then you'll be able to level other things a lot faster. Trust me, you want to just focus 1 thing. I could leave everyone else at level 1, but as long as I have my Kale at 60, I'm going to be set. While this is completely a game and you just want to go at the pace that is most comfortable for you, I do recommend you guys push hard enough to reach 1 specific milestone, which is in the novice tournament. This thing lasts 2 days since you make your account, and you want to get to this. This thing up here is so important early on. It is 5-star speed gear, and you're not going to have great gear early, but you can get some really solid gear here. So if you can somehow grind this out in the first 2 days, I highly, highly recommend it. And even further, if you can win it, that is ideal. I cannot understate how important this gear is early on. Speed is the most important stat in this game, and you want to have it really, really high as soon as you can. So you want to focus the novice tournament. It'll also give you some other stuff, which is helpful, but it's mostly about the speed gear. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy by this tip, but it is so important. Tip number 8 is use your summons wisely. Now, if you are a big spender, you're not going to have to follow this rule as much, but the general rule is do not pull unless there is an event. It's the same in most gachas in this game, but especially for early game and even pretty far into later game or end game, for most players, I am going to advise that you only pull your summons on 2x events. 2x's in this game don't just apply to legendaries. or mythicals if you're summoning primals, but they also affect epics. Epics get double. And a lot of the epics in this game are incredibly powerful, sometimes even being stronger than most legendaries. So you really have to keep those in mind. There's one every week, blah, blah, blah. But basically just if you see a 2x event, you know it's safe to pull. If you don't, then I would be a lot more cautious. There are some other things that go into it, like in this game, there's fusions almost all the time. Like currently there's a fusion, which I've heard is pretty good. And certain events here or tournaments will be summon related, and there's a finite amount of fragments or, units in order to fuse the legendary. So you want to also kind of save them for certain fusions if you can, because you're going to need the summons to finish some fusions. It kind of depends on what you want to do, but basically just when you're summoning, don't just go in blindly by saying, hey, I feel like bowling. Instead, try to think about it a little bit more and you'll get so much more out of your summon. Very, very important. But at the end of the day, it is a gacha. And if you decide to pull, I ain't gonna blame you. Now, tip number 9 is a pretty obvious one once again, but this one really does have to be said, and that's stay on top of things. There are a lot of things that refresh daily and give you rewards. Of course, it's only going to be so impactful the longer you play, but if you do plan on sticking with the game or really trying to progress fast, you always just have to keep it in the back of your head that you do not want to waste resources. For example, daily quests, you should be doing these every day if you can, because they give you 10 gems. You can't see it right here, but they give you 10 gems, and then once you beat it 5 times, you get an ancient, which is a summon. And then monthly, you can do it 30 times and you get a sacred, which is the hardest shard to get, if I'm not mistaken. You want to stay on top of these things. But even beyond that, you want to stay on top of stuff like Arena. Arena here, I have 2 coins. It'll refresh up to 10, whatever. I can wait a little bit for it to refresh, whether I want to do Arena now or not. But when it gets to 10, I have to make sure that I do at least 1 so that it's still building over and over again. Very important that you do stuff like this for basically all content in the game. There's a very nice feature up here in the top right, which will show what you have to do. Essentially, it will not show stamina. Stamina's over here. But basically, you want to always stay on top of this every day. And kind of interestingly, I have 50 arena coins in here, so I'm going to have to spend a later of my day doing a lot of arena in order to use all of these. I don't know why I have so many, but so if I really want to maximize things, and you don't have to, obviously it's a game, you can take it how you want, but I'm going to have to go through and do a lot of arena later, because as you can see, these things expire. So you just always want to be keeping that in mind and checking in on things. It can be very easy to miss out on rewards, and then you might get a little disappointed because you'll be fairly short for something later. The final and most important tip, I know lots of people are going to say this is a cop-out, but it's my list, I can say whatever I want, is this is a game, so just have fun. You can discount all of these tips as long as it is the way that you want to play. It does not matter. Play the game how you want, play the game how you enjoy the game, and that is the most important thing to keep in mind. If you do not have that much time to grind the game out, you're not going to lose that much compared to other people. If you want to play the game aggressively, try to beat everything as fast as possible, that's okay. Whether or not you want to be free to play, or you want to be a big spender, or even a middle spender doing like 20 bucks a month versus someone who does $400 a month. As long as you're having fun, that's what matters. And if the game isn't for you, that's a-okay. You do not have to keep playing. That's kind of the main thing to note. And the most important thing to keep in mind is play how you want, which I know kind of discredits the whole video, but it's important to say, okay? Not enough people talk about it. So with that out of the way, those are my top 10 tips for starting Raid and progressing as fast as possible and as well as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you would like to support the channel. Destin signing out.